In the early hours of 26th of February 2016, residents around Pentridge and Landresant, on the outskirts of Cardiff, were woken by the sound of aircraft moving through the dark. There were helicopters over the fields, reports of strange lights in the sky, and at least 2 loud explosions heard across the sea. One witness, Cass Clark, would later say she saw something enormous above the fields near her home, a pyramid of light, moving low over the Welsh countryside, with smaller red and green objects nearby, and military aircraft closing in around it. The Ministry of Defence would later confirm that a military exercise had taken place in that area that night. But for those who believe the official explanation does not account for everything, Pentridge became something else entirely. A hidden operation, a crash in the woods, and perhaps the closest Wales has ever come to its own Roswell.
Watching your teen struggle with acne is tough. You want to help, but where do you start? Panoxyl makes it simple, with dermatologist-recommended products trusted for over 50 years. From powerful face washes to invisible patches, it's real skincare that works and builds confidence too. Support your teen's skin journey with Panoxyl. Learn more at panoxyl.com or shop the Panoxyl store on Amazon. Panoxyl, the acne authority.
When fighting starts, microseconds matter. Our mission-ready AI turns early intelligence into action, so our troops move first and keep the advantage. Leidos, outsmart, outdo.
Quick question. When was the last time a display ad changed your mind? Now think about the last time a friend told you about something they loved. Different feeling, right? That's how podcast advertising works. A host who's built real trust with their audience talks about your brand in their own words, in their own voice. It doesn't interrupt the experience. It's part of it. With Acast, you can access the world's largest podcast marketplace. Choose the right shows, the right audiences, the right format. Then watch the data tell you it worked. You're not buying impressions. You're buying influence. Learn more by visiting acast.com/advertise.
Watching your teen struggle with acne is tough. You want to help, but where do you start? Panoxyl makes it simple, with dermatologist-recommended products trusted for over 50 years. From powerful face washes to invisible patches, it's real skincare that works and builds confidence too. Support your teen's skin journey with Panoxyl. Learn more at panoxyl.com or shop the Panoxyl store on Amazon. Panoxyl, the acne authority.
We all belong outside. We're drawn to nature, whether it's the recorded sounds of the ocean we doze off to, or the succulents that adorn our homes. Nature makes all of our lives, well, better. Despite all this, we often go about our busy lives removed from it. But the outdoors is closer than we realize. With AllTrails, you can discover trails nearby and explore confidently. With offline maps and on-trail navigation, download the free app today and make the most of your summer with AllTrails.
Hello, I'm Sarah, and welcome to the Whispering Woods After Dark. I've got some very British UFO stories to share today. This is kind of on the, I was going to say backside, but that's not the right word I'm looking for. Kind of on the, I don't know, I'm just not even going to bother. Because some more of that classified info on UAPs has just been declassified, and I thought, right, let's have a look at some British UFOs, shall we? I'll get straight into it. Are you ready for the stories? Pentridge sits on the western edge of Cardiff. Close to the city, but near enough to open fields, woodland, and higher ground for the landscape to change quickly once the streetlights begin to fall away. To the northwest lies Llantrisant, with common land, wooded areas, and the kind of dark, uneven countryside where sound can travel strangely at night. In daylight, it is not the sort of place most people would imagine as the centre of a UFO story. It's an ordinary Welsh landscape, folded between roads, villages, farms and patches of woodland. But in the early hours of February the 26th, 2016, that ordinary landscape became the setting for a story that has never quite gone away. The main witness account comes from Cas Clark, who lived in Pentridge at the time. According to her account, she had been aware of unusual aircraft activity during the night, enough to draw her attention outside and towards the fields behind her home. Once there, she said she saw something unlike anything she'd seen before. A huge, pyramid-shaped object or formation of light in the sky, low over the area, with smaller red and green objects moving near it. In later interviews, Clark described the object as enormous, silent, and difficult to reconcile with anything familiar. She said it appeared to descend, giving off branching or arcing light, while military helicopters moved through the area. In her version of events, the aircraft were not simply passing by or conducting a routine exercise nearby. They seemed to be involved with whatever was above the fields. As the night unfolded, other details entered the story. There were reports of helicopters over Llantrisant. There were claims of aircraft operating without lights. There were explosions heard by residents, and later rumours of something coming down near Smillock Woods, an area of woodland not far from Pendrich and Llantrisant. For those who later came to believe the incident involved a craft of unknown origin, the woods became central to the story. The possible crash site, the place where something may have fallen, and the place where the official account seemed to grow thinnest. By morning, the village was left with noise, rumour and questions. People had heard aircraft. People had heard explosions. At least one witness had reported something extraordinary in the sky. And somewhere behind all of it was the military exercise that the Ministry of Defence would later acknowledge had taken place across the same dates and in the same general area. The Pendrich incident did not become known because the Ministry of Defence announced anything unusual. It became known because one witness would not let the night disappear. Cas Clark became the central voice in the case, not only because of what she said she saw over the fields near her home, but because of what she did afterwards. She asked questions, she looked for records, she challenged the explanation that everything could be reduced to training noise. And over time, her account became the spine of the Pendrich story. According to Clark, what she saw that night was not simply military aircraft in the darkness. It was not only helicopters passing over rural land during an exercise. She described an enormous pyramid-shaped object or formation of light, low over the countryside, with objects moving nearby. She believed the aircraft around it were responding to that object, not merely carrying out routine manoeuvres in the area. The official records explain a noisy and unusual military presence. They confirm that something was happening in the area, but they do not confirm the thing that made Clark's account extraordinary. No pyramid, no strange objects, no crash, no hidden recovery operation in the woods. Over the years, Clark's persistence helped keep the story alive. Requests were made, responses were gathered, fragments of official information began to appear, each one either clarifying part of the night or exposing another area where the public record had nothing to offer. The official explanation would come later, after the rumours had already taken shape. The Ministry of Defence confirmed that a military exercise had been taking place in the area between the 23rd and 26th of February. It was called Exercise Chameleon, and according to the MOD, Lantricent had been chosen because military training areas do not always contain the specific features required for certain exercises. Non-MOD land could be used, they said, provided agreement had been reached with the landowner. To anyone who had been awoken by the noise that night, this at least explained part of what they had experienced. There really were military personnel in the area. There really were helicopters. There really were explosions. But the MOD's explanation was firm on what it said had not happened. No live ammunition had been used. Troops had been issued with blank, simulated ammunition. No targets had been fired on. The 2 explosions heard by residents were described as controlled detonations of simulated munitions, the kind used to make training more realistic without involving live weapons. There was also the matter of the Apache helicopter. Records later confirmed that an Apache helicopter had diverted to Cardiff Airport that night after declaring a full emergency. The reason given was a cockpit generator failure, and the aircraft landed safely. This detail became important because some later accounts of the night referred to smoke being seen in connection with the helicopter, including smoke reportedly visible from or around the cockpit. In response, the MOD suggested that any smoke seen from the cockpit may have been connected to the generator fault rather than to an encounter, collision, or engagement with an unknown object. For a conventional account, the pieces begin to line up. Military activity known to Cardiff Airport, but not widely understood by people living nearby. Yet for those who believe they had seen something above Pendridge that night, the explanation did not settle the matter. Cass Clark's account was not simply that she heard helicopters or saw ordinary aircraft. The MOD would later say it held no information on green lights, red spherical objects, red pulsing lights, objects in the Pendridge field, or anything crashing into Smelock Woods. And that's where the case begins to split into 2. On one side is a documented exercise, real, confirmed, noisy. On the other is the witness story, stranger, harder to pin down, and centred on something that official records say they cannot confirm. If the sky over Pendridge is where the story begins, Smelock Woods is where it becomes physical. The rumours around the woods are among the most dramatic parts of the case, because they take the incident out of the air and place it on the ground. Lights in the sky can be argued over forever. They can be dismissed as aircraft, flares, drones, mistakes of distance, or the confusion of watching something unfamiliar at night. But a crash site is different. A crash site suggests wreckage, damage, recovery, people moving through trees before daylight, something hidden where ordinary residents could not easily see. The official record does not support that, the Ministry of Defence said it held no information about anything crashing into Smilog Woods. But woodland is a powerful setting for rumours because it hides what open fields reveal. At night, a wood can take sound and make it uncertain. It can make distance feel unreliable. It can conceal movement, lights, vehicles, or nothing at all. For believers, the lack of records only adds to the suspicion. If nothing came down, why do so many questions seem to gather around the woods? Why does the official account feel to them as though it explains the framework of the night while avoiding the thing at its centre? There were claims made by those investigating the case afterwards that the woods and nearby land did show signs of disturbance. Chas Clark and Gary Jones are said to have found what they believed was a burnt or damaged path through Smilog Woods, with snapped trees and vegetation that appeared scorched or destroyed, while other UFO investigators later reported damaged ground, broken trees, unusual residue, and elevated electromagnetic readings in the area. These claims have become an important part of the believer version of the Pendrich story. Smilog Woods may have been nothing more than a dark patch of land near a military exercise pulled into a larger story, with ordinary woodland damage interpreted through the lens of an already extraordinary night. Or it may be, for those who believe the Pendrich account, the place where the most important part of the night disappeared from view, leaving behind just enough traces in the trees, the grass and the ground for questions to keep gathering there. Either way, once the idea of a crash entered the story, the woods could not be ordinary again. As more questions were asked in the years that followed, the official picture became clearer in some places and more frustrating in others. When it came to the stranger parts of the Pendrich story, the answers became much thinner. There were also questions about who had been warned. Cardiff Airport knew about the exercise. The MOD said the landowner had agreed to the use of land. But Rhondda Council later said it had not been made aware of exercises in the area on those dates. And the Civil Aviation Authority said it held no relevant NOTAM paperwork in response to one request, directing the requester back towards the MOD instead. It became a case built around the difference between what can be confirmed and what people say they saw. The confirmed facts explain the noise, the helicopters, the military presence, and at least part of the disturbance. They don't explain why one witness came away believing she had seen a vast pyramid of light being pursued or engaged over the Welsh countryside. And they do not explain why the story has continued to gather attention years later. In later requests, another possible source of evidence became harder to reach. South Wales Police said it no longer held relevant incident logs or reports from that night because the material had passed beyond its retention period. That meant one of the most useful records, the calls or reports made by ordinary people at the time, was no longer available in the way researchers might have hoped. Pendrich is not the only British UFO story where the strangeness begins with something almost ordinary. In Todmorden, West Yorkshire, in the early hours of 28th of November 1980, Police Constable Alan Godfrey was nearing the end of a night shift when he was sent to investigate a report of cattle loose on a local housing estate. It was around 5 in the morning, and the call itself was not supernatural, not dramatic, and not the sort of thing that should have become part of British UFO folklore. Cows had escaped, and someone needed to find them. As Godfrey drove along Burnley Road, he saw what he first thought was a bus blocking the road ahead. But as he got closer, he realised that what he was looking at was not a bus at all. He later described it as a diamond-shaped object, roughly 20 feet wide and 14 feet high, hovering low over the road. Some accounts say it was rotating, with lights or windows visible, and that leaves or debris on the road seemed to move beneath it, as if affected by the force of whatever was holding it there. Godfrey did what a police officer would be expected to do. He tried to report it. But according to his account, his radio would not work. He sketched the object in his notebook, trying to record what he was seeing. And then there was a flash of light. When he became aware of himself again, the object had gone. His patrol car was further down the road, and around 20 to 30 minutes appeared to have passed. Later retellings also include details of physical after effects, including a split boot and soreness or a mark on his foot. The missing time is what pulled the case deeper into UFO territory. Under hypnosis, Godfrey later gave an account of being taken aboard the craft and medically examined by small beings, a detail that places the Tormorden case firmly within the language of alien abduction stories. Even though the original incident began in the most mundane way imaginable, a police officer looking for loose cattle before dawn. Tormorden already had a strange reputation by then. Only months earlier, the body of missing miner Sigmund Adamski had been found on a coal pile under circumstances that attracted speculation and unease. With his missing belongings, unexplained burns, and an unidentified ointment reported in later summaries of the case, some writers and UFO enthusiasts would later connect Adamski's death to the wider Tormorden mystery. Like Pendrich, the Tormorden story works because it does not begin with someone setting out to find a UFO. Godfrey was not skywatching, investigating strange lights, or chasing a rumour. He was responding to a practical call in a quiet northern town, and the strangeness seems to have stepped directly into the road in front of him. For skeptics, there are obvious problems: memory, stress, the early hour, later hypnosis, and the way UFO stories develop after media attention all complicate the account. The case has been examined and retold many times, and not every detail is equally secure. It's a very British kind of UFO story. Not a desert crash, not a secret American base, not a silver disc over a highway, just a police car on Burnley Road, a call about cows, and a few missing minutes that Alan Godfrey would spend the rest of his life trying to explain. Long before Pendrich became known as Wells's Roswell, another Welsh UFO story had already been given almost the same name. On the evening of 23rd of January 1974, people around the Berwyn Mountains in North Wales reported a loud explosion, shaking ground, and strange lights in the sky. The disturbance was dramatic enough for police and locals to investigate, and in the years that followed, the story became linked to rumours of a crashed object, military involvement, and something being recovered from the mountain before the public could see it. The location helped the legend grow. The Berwyn Range is remote, dark, and steep in places, the kind of landscape where an unexplained noise can seem to roll across the hills, and where a light on the mountainside can quickly become something stranger. Once the idea of a crash entered the story, It was easy to picture wreckage hidden among the slopes, soldiers moving through the area, and an official explanation, arriving only after something had already been taken away. Unlike many UFO cases, Berwyn has a strong conventional explanation. Scientific investigators later linked the event to a combination of a meteor seen widely over Wales and northern England, and an earthquake centred in the Bala area. The shock was strong enough to be felt over a wide area, while the bright light in the sky may have been the meteor. Declassified Ministry of Defence documents have also pointed towards the earthquake and meteor explanation, rather than a crashed craft. People did hear something. People did feel the ground move. People did see lights. Police did receive reports, and locals did search the area. The official explanation may account for the evidence, but it does not erase the atmosphere of that evening. For skeptics, Berwyn is a perfect example of how separate natural events can combine into a mystery. For believers, the same ingredients keep the door open, because the meteor and earthquake explanation accounts for some of the night, but not comfortably for every account that later became attached to Berwyn. One of the most important witnesses was Pat Evans, a district nurse from Llanderfell who drove towards the mountain with her daughters after the explosion because she thought an aircraft might have crashed and that help could be needed. What she later described was not a brief streak of light vanishing across the sky, but something apparently fixed on the mountain itself. A large, round, reddish-orange glow, well-defined and intensely bright, sitting on the shoulder of Cadair Bernwyn, like a huge ember against the darkness. According to later summaries of her account, she and her daughters watched it for around 10 or 15 minutes, during which it appeared to change colour from red to yellow to white, and then back again, while smaller white lights could be seen nearby. There was also the account of Hugh Lloyd, who was 14 at the time, and later recalled the sudden thud, the violent shaking of the house, and the way neighbours began ringing one another afterwards. Later that evening, he said he was taken close enough to see the distant area where the object was thought to have come down, describing it as glowing or pulsating with an otherworldly light, though he was not allowed to get any closer. Then there are the more disputed later claims, the kind that sit firmly in UFO territory. Researcher Scott Felton reportedly gathered testimony from people who said they'd been stopped by police or soldiers that night, including a hotel chef returning from Corwin, a reporter from Bala who allegedly had his camera confiscated, and 2 students who noticed a heavy police presence in Llanderilo shortly after 9:30. Pat Evans herself denied some of the more sensational claims later attached to her, including stories that she'd been stopped by a military patrol or had seen alien bodies. But the wider reports of roadblocks and official presence became part of the believer version of the case. For those who believe something came down on the mountain, neither explanation fully accounts for a glowing object that appeared to sit in the hillside, changing colour as witnesses watched it, or for the later reports of people being kept away from the area. If Berwyn was only a meteor and an earthquake, why did some witnesses describe something lingering on the mountain after the flash in the sky should already have vanished? And why, decades later, did the story still feel as though part of the night had been kept just out of reach?
Skincare routines felt overwhelming until I found Panoxyl. With breakout fighting tools like the best-selling foaming wash with 10% benzoyl peroxide, pimple patches, and acne-fighting body spray, Panoxyl makes a difference I can see and feel. Dermatologist recommended and trusted for over 50 years, it's clear why Panoxyl is the acne authority. Find your clear skin routine at Panoxyl.com or on Amazon.
Shell V-Power Nitro Plus fuels every drive with a fuel like no other. It removes up to 100% of performance-robbing deposits to rejuvenate your engine's performance. That means more power when you need it and more performance with every drive. Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. More power, more performance. Formulation unique to Shell. In gasoline direct injection engine fuel injectors with continuous use of Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline compared to lower octane fuels. Actual effects and benefits may vary.
I used to be right into UFOs, right into them. I used to watch the Ancient Aliens and all that stuff. And I was in my 20s, I think it's so. I would have been, yeah. And I believed everything they told me. I was like, yep, makes complete sense. Of course, I'm a bit more skeptical now. But having seen strange lights in the sky, I do believe, I am a believer, that there are other things out there. Hopefully they're friendly, because I don't want prodding. Well, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you again tomorrow. Take care, everyone.
Plan B made over-the-counter emergency contraception legal more than 20 years ago. It's a safe, effective backup birth control option that helps prevent pregnancy before it starts by temporarily delaying ovulation. Plan B is the #1 OBGYN recommended brand and the only one you can find at all major retailers in all 50 U.S. states. There's no minimum age requirement and you don't need an ID to buy it. You can order it through DoorDash and other major delivery platforms too. That's freedom to be. Use as directed.
I like things my way, my coffee, my schedule, and my treatment. So I talked to my doctor about self-injecting with the Vyvgart Hytrulo prefilled syringe, which contains efgartigimod alpha and hyaluronidase QVFC. It's injected under your skin, subcutaneously. It means I can inject in my space, on my time. It's my treatment, my way. Visit VyvgartMyWay.com. That's VYVGART MyWay.com. And talk to your doctor about Vyvgart Hytrulo. Brought to you by argenx.
If your air conditioner never seems to turn off, worn-out windows could be the culprit. Upgrade yours now during Window Nation's Buy 4 Get 4 free sale. Imagine replacing all your windows and getting half of them for free. Plus, you could get them with no money down and no monthly payments or interest for 2 years. Don't wait to put an end to your window problems. Save big with Window Nation's Buy 4 Get 4 free sale. Going on now. Sale ends soon, so visit windownation.com. Window Nation, proud partner of the Wounded Warrior Project.
The stories told on the Whispering Woods are inspired by historical records, witness reports, and local folklore. While every effort is made to research and represent events accurately, some details, names, and locations may differ from official accounts or have been changed out of respect for those involved. These episodes are created for storytelling and entertainment purposes and should not be considered definitive fact or investigative journalism.